My name is Paul Hebert. I'm on the Wicked Tuna show for 11 years. I own the boat Wicked Tuna, and I came down to Conley GMC.
Paul Hebert's story begins long before he ever appeared on television. He was born on February 15, 1965, in Marshfield, Massachusetts, into a family of hardworking fishermen. From the very beginning, Paul's life was tied to the ocean. His father, Donald Hebert, was a well-known fisherman in Gloucester, a place famous for its deep connection to the fishing industry. Paul didn't just learn how to fish, he lived and breathed it. His father taught him the ways of the sea, and by the time he was just 8 years old, Paul had already caught his first bluefin tuna using a hand line. It was over 100 pounds. That moment wasn't just exciting for a young boy, it was a rite of passage, a sign that he was meant for the water. He grew up learning that the sea wasn't something you could beat. You had to respect it, live with it, and adapt to it. Gloucester, his hometown, became his school, and the ocean his classroom. As Paul grew older, he followed the path his family laid out. He had 6 brothers, all of whom were involved in fishing in some way. He worked on many boats, both big and small, along the East Coast from Massachusetts to Florida. His days were tough. He slept in hot engine rooms, ate cold sandwiches, and battled not only the ocean's waves, but also the giant tuna that weighed more than he did. But through all the challenges, Paul never gave up. Fishing wasn't just a job for him. It was a way of life. It gave him purpose, identity, and pride. In 2012, everything changed. Paul was invited to appear on the National Geographic show Wicked Tuna, a reality TV series that followed the lives of commercial tuna fishermen in Gloucester. He first appeared as a crew member on fvtuna.com, the boat led by his friend Dave Carraro, but Paul was never the kind of person to stay in the background. He had strong opinions, a louder-than-life personality, and a burning desire to be a leader. After the first season, he left the crew and began captaining his own boats. Over time, he became known for leading several vessels, including the FV Bounty Hunter, Miss Sanka, Kelly Ann, and eventually the Wicked Pisa. Paul stood out on the show not just because of his fishing skills, but because he was so real. He wasn't pretending for the cameras, he was just being himself. Fans quickly connected with him. They loved his energy, his passion, and the way he celebrated every big catch. He wasn't afraid to show emotion. He laughed, cried, and even argued when things got tough. Viewers called him the true heart of Wicked Tuna, while others on reality TV tried to play roles or create drama. Paul simply lived his life in front of the camera the same way he had before it ever rolled. He became a fan favorite because he made people feel like they knew him personally, but while Paul was rising to fame and building a name for himself, he was also struggling with personal issues that would later become public. Behind the scenes, he was dealing with serious challenges, ones that would test his character and his future on the show. For a while, Paul was living a double life. On one side, he was a celebrated TV star. On the other, he was facing legal trouble that would put everything he'd built at risk. While Paul Hebert's fame was growing through Wicked Tuna, a much darker chapter was unfolding in his personal life. In 2009, before the show began, Paul applied for Social Security and Medicaid benefits. He claimed that he had a severe disability that made it impossible for him to work, drive, lift heavy things, or earn income. In his official application, Paul said he lived alone and had no assets or money. Based on these statements, the government eventually approved him for financial assistance. Between 2010 and 2013, Paul received more than $34,000 from Social Security and an additional $9,000 from Medicaid. These programs are meant to help people who are truly disabled and cannot work. But in Paul's case, it turned out that the information he gave was false. While Paul was receiving these government benefits, he was also working full-time as a commercial fisherman. And not just any fisherman, he was now a national TV personality. His work required physical strength, long hours, and dangerous ocean conditions, all of which clearly went against his claims of disability. What made matters worse was that Paul never updated the Social Security office about his income from fishing or his contracts with the TV show, which he was required to do by law. Once Wicked Tuna began airing in 2012, many people started asking how someone on disability could be lifting 500-pound tuna and operating heavy fishing equipment on national television. Eventually, federal investigators looked into the matter. In 2015, Paul Hebert was formally indicted by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Vermont on 4 serious charges: Social Security fraud, Medicaid fraud, making false statements, and hiding income. If found guilty on all charges, Paul could have faced up to 5 years in prison and $250,000 in fines for each count. The media quickly picked up the story, and Paul's name was suddenly in headlines for all the wrong reasons. Paul first pleaded not guilty, but later agreed to a deal with prosecutors. He pleaded guilty to 2 of the charges and was sentenced in 2016 to 4 years of probation, a $5,000 fine, and repayment of over $53,000 in wrongfully received benefits. He had already repaid the full amount before the trial, which helped his case. While some people were angry and called him a fraud, others were more forgiving. Many fans said that everyone makes mistakes and praised him for taking responsibility and moving forward. But just as Paul was beginning to recover from the legal issues, life hit him with another painful blow. In late 2020 or early 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Paul's father, Donald Hebert, passed away in a nursing home. Paul couldn't be with him in his final moments because he was filming a new season of Wicked Tuna, Outer Banks in another state, and travel restrictions made it impossible to return in time. Paul later shared in a live Instagram chat that he was heartbroken. "I only knew Dad was weak," he said. "When I got the call that he was gone, I was at sea. I collapsed. On the deck, I've never felt the sea so cold." This loss hit Paul hard. His father wasn't just a parent, he was his hero, his mentor, and the person who taught him everything about life and fishing. After his father's death, Paul disappeared from social media for over 2 months. When he finally came back, he posted a single black and white photo, himself standing alone at the front of his boat surrounded by thick fog. The caption read, "Still fishing, Dad." It was simple but said everything. That image spread across the Wicked Tuna fan pages and received thousands of emotional comments. People could see that Paul had changed. On the show, he smiled less, spoke less, and his usual excitement seemed dimmed. The man who once shouted, "Boom!" after every big catch now appeared quieter, more thoughtful, and full of grief. The pain didn't stop there. In early 2022, a shocking rumor spread online claiming that Paul had died of a heart attack while fishing. The rumor started from a small blog with no confirmed sources, but it quickly went viral on Facebook, Reddit, and other platforms. Many fans believed it and started posting tributes. Some even created tribute videos, thinking Paul was gone. A day later, the Wicked Tuna media team posted that Paul was alive and filming. Paul himself recorded a short video saying, "It's crazy to open your phone and see people think you're dead. I know I've done wrong and let people down, but no one deserves to be declared dead while they're still breathing." That moment broke many hearts. Paul had already lost so much: his reputation, his father, his peace, and now even his existence was being questioned by strangers on the internet. He temporarily closed his personal social media accounts just to escape the noise. When he returned, he was different. There were no more live chats, no personal stories, and no emotional posts, just updates about fishing, charter trips, and boat work. His fans noticed. The Paul they once knew, the joyful, larger-than-life captain, was fading as the years passed. Paul Hebert continued to appear on Wicked Tuna, but he became less active online and less public in general. While many of his fellow captains interacted with fans, appeared at events, and gave interviews, Paul pulled back. He stopped going to local festivals. He didn't show up at meet-and-greet events or community fundraisers. Even during major Wicked Tuna milestones, like special episodes honoring longtime cast members, Paul declined to participate. Instead, producers used old footage of him. When asked, they said Paul didn't want to share anything personal on TV anymore. It wasn't about fame or shame. It was about pain. Paul has never married. He has no children. Both of his parents are gone. His 5 brothers, once close teammates on the sea, have moved away from the spotlight. while one of his brothers, Bruce, still sails with him on the Wicked Tuna. The rest have stepped away. In a rare comment on a fan page, Paul once wrote, "I have the ocean, the boat, the wind, but no one waits for me at the harbor." It was a heartbreaking sentence. It summed up the deep loneliness he carried. For many people, Paul Hebert is still a legend, a symbol of strength and survival. But for those who look closely, it's clear that he's also a man battling something deeper. Depression? Maybe sadness? Certainly on his social media, the joyful posts are gone. Now it's just pictures of tuna, updates on charter bookings, and simple reports like, "Caught a 450-pounder today." There's no emotion, no celebration, just facts. One longtime fan on Twitter wrote, "It's strange. He was always there, always joking. Now it's just fish and sea like he's dissolving into the ocean." In 2025, at the age of 60, Paul is still captaining the Wicked Tuna. He continues to appear on Wicked Tuna and Wicked Tuna, Outer Banks, though his presence is quieter than before. He still runs summer charter trips and promotes them on Instagram. His estimated net worth is between $400,000 and $500,000, not rich but steady. In a brief interview, Paul said, "I don't think of myself as a TV star anymore. I'm just a man with a boat, still sailing, still waiting for fish. That's where I still feel alive." Paul doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't seek attention. He's not chasing likes or headlines. All he wants is the sea, and the sea has never abandoned him. Every morning he rises before the sun, checks the wind, prepares his lines, and goes back out onto the water. There, in the silence of the waves, he finds a kind of peace he doesn't get anywhere else. He has never won awards. The network has never officially honored him. But in the eyes of many fans, Paul Hebert represents something more meaningful than a trophy. He's a survivor, a man who faced storms, legal, emotional, and spiritual, and never stopped sailing. His life is a reminder that not all heroes wear capes. Some wear raincoats, hold fishing rods, and shout, "Boom!" even when their heart is breaking. Despite all he's been through, Paul Hebert continues to do what he's always done: fish. But those who've watched closely over the years can sense that the man behind the wheel isn't the same. Once a loud, energetic force on Wicked Tuna, Paul now moves with a quiet determination, almost mechanical in nature. His passion is still there, but it's tempered like a fire that's still burning but no longer roaring. The losses he's endured haven't just changed his personality. They've left permanent marks on his soul. Paul doesn't talk much about his feelings anymore. Whether it's on camera or in interviews, he avoids discussing his past, his mistakes, or his grief. His fans often speculate about what he's really feeling, especially when they see him alone on the bow of his boat, staring out at the endless water. To some, it looks like peace. To others, it looks like a man searching for something, perhaps closure, perhaps a sense of meaning. His fishing boat, the Wicked Tuna, has become more than a vessel. It's his refuge, his home, and maybe even his way of surviving emotionally. While most people use their homes or family for comfort, Paul finds that in the sea. Every wave, every reel, every tuna he hauls in keeps him grounded, keeps him from drifting too far into the emotional pain he keeps locked inside. The ocean has taken a lot from him, but it has also given him the one thing he still trusts: purpose. On social media, fans continue to support him. Under almost every post, no matter how simple or quiet, there are hundreds of messages. People write things like, "Still our favorite captain?" or "You inspire us, Paul. Keep fishing." These comments might seem small, but they're reminders that he's not completely alone. Even if he doesn't respond, it's likely he reads them. And maybe, just maybe, they help him keep going. Paul's journey also serves as a lesson in how fame can bring both light and shadow. Reality television introduced him to millions, gave him success and a platform. But it also opened the door to judgment, pressure, and public scrutiny. His mistake with government benefits may have been born out of confusion or desperation, but the spotlight turned it into a national conversation. While he paid his dues and accepted the consequences, it's clear that the shame from that period still lingers. Yet through it all, Paul has never quit. That's the most remarkable part of his story. He didn't vanish. He didn't let scandal or sorrow push him away from the thing he loves most. Instead, he stayed, he sailed, he fished. He endured. At 60 years old, Paul Hebert is no longer the energetic captain fans met in Season 1. He's something else now, something deeper. He's a man who carries loss in his bones, silence in his voice, and strength in his heart. And as long as the sea welcomes him, Paul Hebert will keep fishing, not just for tuna, but for peace. If you felt moved by Paul's story, take a moment to leave a comment. Let us know, do you see Paul as a flawed man or a quiet icon who never gave up? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next story.